Is your dream creating a game but you haven't done it yet? In this course, you will learn the fundamentals of game development. Enroll now in early access to get a huge discount and all future updates for free.
Would you like to add more animations to your hero, but IK rigs and retargeting systems are too confusing for you? Or is it that your character's model is looking broken after the retargeting? Do not worry, in this beginner's tutorial we will take a dive at the Unreal Engine 5 retargeting system. You will learn how to make IK rigs, and inside we will show you how to set up bone settings and IK goals. And after that you will learn about solvers and bone chains. And lastly, you will learn about the IK Retargeter and how to efficiently translate animations from a character to another. The goal of this tutorial is to know how to use the IK Retargeter efficiently so your main character does not deform when you translate animations. There are no requirements for this tutorial, but it would be nice if you had 2 human skeletal meshes to work with. I hope this tutorial is of great use to you, and if you have any feedback, please do not hesitate to ask. As always, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell, and I'll be seeing you. Welcome. So if you're here, you're trying to learn more about IK rig and retargeting inside of Unreal Engine 5, which also probably means that you have a hero that has no animations. And you probably want some animations from Paragon assets, or maybe you bought a marketplace, an impact, and you want to put animations in your hero. So in my case, I have this hero, Calypso. She has no animations. And I would like some animations from Aurora, from Paragon. She's a free asset from Unreal Engine Marketplace. So let's start. So now what we need to do is create an IK rig for both Aurora and Calypso. And this IK rig needs to be exactly the same configuration for both skeletal meshes. That way the Retargeter can work properly. So again, just quickly, let's create one for Calypso and one for Aurora. So empty space, right click, animation, IK rig. And in here we need to find our skeletal mesh. In my case, I just named it red, so I can just find it quickly. And it's this one. This is Calypso. And this is Calypso underscore IK rig. We also need to make one for Aurora. So again, right click, animation, IK rig. And we need to find Aurora. I named it red too, and it's this one, Aurora. So Aurora IK rig. Okay. Now for the last one, we need to right click, animation, and pick this retargeter. It's gonna ask us from what source we want. And our source is Aurora. She's the one that has all of the animations. So we need to pick the rig, Aurora rig. It's this one. Oh, maybe I did it a little bit too quickly. So right click, animation, retargeter. We need to pick the source, which is Aurora IK rig. There we go. We don't need to name it for now. Just double click and enter it. Once we are in here, okay, there are a bunch of things that I won't explain right now. We just want to see it. We just want to look at this. We have the source, which is the Aurora IK rig, and we can modify it. But we need to put our target, and our target was the Calypso IK rig that we just created. Okay, now we see them each other side to side. Fine. If we go here on Asset Browser and on Ability, we can see that Aurora is just doing her animations, but Calypso isn't following. And the reason why this is happening, it's because on the IK rig we haven't made them match to each other. Right now there is no configuration inside any of these, so it makes sense that they're not gonna follow each other, right? So what we're gonna do now is just open up the Calypso IK rig. Okay, fine. And we're gonna explain a few things before moving on. So first of all, this is the IK rig editor, and in here obviously you set up IK rigs for retargeting characters. Right? We have solvers, we have chains, we have the bones, we have the goals, the IK goals. And we're not going to explain all of them right now. We're just going to explain them as we go. So first of all, we just want to have both sorry, there we go. We just want both rigs to have a chain in common, or well, a root in common, so we can at least see some movement. We want the pelvis to be the root of this IK rig. So you select the pelvis here, right click, and say this is set retarget tool, set retarget root. Okay, and you can see in here retarget root. Now same thing for Aurora. The pelvis, right click, retarget root. Okay, now if we go here and we press play, we can see that both roots, which are the pelvis, are somewhat following along. You can see some movement already. That's good. Now let's focus on the, well, I'm gonna close this Aurora. I think I'm gonna close this one too. I just wanna focus on this rig right now. Okay, a couple of things that I wanna do before moving on. I just clicked on an empty space here, so we stop selecting the bone. And here on the right side, this bone size, I want it to be smaller, 1.1. That's a little bit gentle for me. And if you see that your camera is a little bit too fast, you can just, on an empty space, hold right click, and then with your mouse wheel, just scroll backwards and keep doing it so it slows down. And that way you have more control over your camera, right? It's just something quick, something small. Now we want to create some goals. And what are the goals? If I explain it right now, it won't make that much sense. So let's first create it, see what it does, and then I give you an explanation. So for now, let's click on hand L. Let's scroll down. We want hand R. And by the way, I'm holding control, so I can select plenty of things, right? So far, hand L, hand R. I also want ball L and ball R. So I have these four selected, both hands and both balls. So now right click on any that you have selected and say new IK goal. It's gonna ask you for a solver, and same as with the IK goals, I'm gonna explain it later. Just select full body IK and press on OK. Now you can see that these four goals that we created are highlighted. They're actually white, right? Compared to the other that are grayed out. Now this solver is asking us for a root bone. So just go here on the pelvis, right click and say set root bone on selected solver. I'm going to Ctrl C. So missing root bone, right? If you don't have this selected, then you cannot select this as a root bone, by the way. So you need to select it. So now set root bone, and now it's perfect. Okay, now it's set up. So if we grab on this goal here and we press this, translate, and we move it around, you can see how now this goal is moving the whole chain arm. A chain is called like the shoulder, elbow, you know, all of this is a chain. All right. So exactly what is an IK goal? An IK goal is a manipulator of a point for your IK chains. Remember that this whole arm can be a chain. You can select it, right? This is a chain. And they are used in conjunction with solvers to modify an incoming pose, right? And that way you can reach the goal locations. If you notice, I'm moving this goal here, and our left goal isn't moving at all. But imagine that you erase this goal. We're actually gonna do it. So this goal, delete it. Now it's non-existent. If you now move again this hand, you can see how everything is moving, right? So it's as if we're setting bounds in a way. So I'm just gonna Ctrl C again. Okay. So now you can see that we move it and fine. But there are still a couple of issues with this, right? Because we are moving it and the whole body is deforming, right? For example, if we move it like this, the shoulder is like, this is a huge mistake, right? If we want to reset our pose, you can just click here and reset. Okay, and that's good. Now that we have our goals put here and with this full body IK, if we go back to our retargeter, we can still see that nothing is happening. And remember, nothing happens because we haven't put anything on the other IK rig. Remember that they need to be the same for it to work. So I'm just gonna close this and let's open up Aurora and do exactly the same thing. So we want to select the hand L, we want to select the hand R and both balls. So ball L and ball R. Right click, new IK goal, full body IK, accept. And with this selected, we want to say that the pelvis is the root bone. Okay, now it is exactly the same. Let's see what happens on the retargeter now. If we put an animation, it is still not happening. It's still as if only the pelvis was the well, the pelvis is the root, right? It's just as it was before. And that happens because we don't have any chain in here. It's not enough to have only the goals. We need to say that, for example, this whole arm is a chain on her and also on Aurora. They need to have the same name, they need to be the same for the retargeter to take them as the same, right? Okay, so let's start making chains, which is actually quite simple. Let's start with, well, from the top, right? We have spine 1 and spine 3. If you don't know how to group them, I'm just clicking on one, holding shift, and then clicking again. And we are selecting them all. This should be a whole single chain. So right click on any of them and say new retarget chain from selected bones. And the chain name, do not change it at all. Just click on OK. Now let's go back to Aurora, and we're just gonna do it this way just for this example. So going back to Aurora, you can realize that she also has only 3 spines, and they are basically on the same location, right, as Calypso. So again, right click, new retarget chain from selected bones, and the chain name we leave it the same. Here on the bottom right, you can see IK retargeting, and you see the chains, retarget root, pelvis, whatever. But here, chain name, spine 1, and in Calypso, same, spine 1. So now that these two are the same, if we go back to the retargeter, and we click play, nothing is gonna happen because we haven't clicked here. We need to click here on auto map chains. So if both have the same name, they're gonna be mapped together, which is what we wanted. If we press play, now we can see a little bit more of similarities, right? So let's continue doing that. For Calypso, the spine is fine. We want the neck and the head. New retarget chain. We don't change anything. Now for the clavicle, we do not want to make a chain like this. We want the clavicle to be on its own. So on the clavicle, just right click, retarget chain, and there we go. This is just one bone. But in here, we want the upper arm until the hand. Retarget chain, perfect. We're not gonna do the fingers just yet. Now the same for the other part of the arm. The clavicle is alone. Upper arm and hand here. Now for the thigh, we want all of this. Retarget, chain. Here, all of this again, chain. And I think that's it for it now. We probably will need to add some more after, but let's go now to Aurora. Now, keeping in mind, we have added the clavicle, we have added the rest of the arm. Let's do the same for Aurora. So our hero does not have, for example, you see spine, neck. She doesn't have any bone on her breasts, but Aurora does. So we should not be chaining any of these breasts, because our hero is not gonna have it anyway, right? She doesn't have anything here. So we can ignore this. We can go on clavicle, retarget, upper arm. You can see that there is a new bone here, elbow helper. We do not need it because Kalisola doesn't have it, right? So again, lower arm and this. There we go. We are not making fingers yet. Clavicle on its own. Upper arm, lower arm, like this. Now her neck to her head. What else? Thigh. Calypso doesn't have a butt. So calf, foot, ball. And same. Thigh, calf, foot, ball. Okay, that should be it for now. So let's go back to the retargeter, automap chains, and if they have the same name, then all should be fine. Let's see what happens here. So now, yeah, they are both doing almost the same thing. You can see a few details here. For example, look at how she's holding her arm and how she is holding her arm, right? The distance is too short. So there are a couple of things that are happening here. Look at this. Well, this is painting from the model, so that should not be a problem, but look at how her back is deforming. Look at how here she's just losing her limbs, right? In here also something is going on, right? So there are a lot of things that are not working yet, and obviously we need to make a lot of more modifications. But let's try checking some new animation and see if we see some different things. What about attack A? Okay, pose. Okay. One more thing that we can do to compare them both is if we click here on anywhere, you can see target actor offset. If we reduce it, we can actually put 0. And they are in the same place together. You see, her arm is just nowhere near where it should be. This here too. There are a lot of things that we can do to help our retarget be better. So back on chain mapping, well, actually just 100 here. Okay. Now, you saw that we created these hand goals and everything, but they are not really being used, because here on the bottom right, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, we haven't set any IK goal at all. So let's do it. We not on the spine, not on the clavicle. The upper arm has hand, so here we have hand L, sure. Upper arm R, here hand R, thigh L is ball, and there we go. Now this should make it a little bit different. Let's see it. Now we can see the poses a little bit better, for sure. Let's go back to the arms. Okay, so it is working better now. Let's check the other animation though, because it had many errors. Okay, this still has a big issue. Let's keep... The arm is a little bit better. Now you see more separation, but it is still broken here. And even more so here, because this IK goal is trying to mimic the other hero. Okay, we put it on 0. How is that looking now? That is looking a little bit better. A little bit better. Keeping in mind, of course, that she has her arms way larger. Okay, but we need to keep modifying this. So back to the IK rig. Let's finish setting up the the chains, right? We still need to do the fingers. If we actually check here on our retargeter, again, let's see 100. Aurora has her hands gripping her sword. Our hero does not. And obviously it is because we haven't set up chains for the fingers or for other small things. So let's go on Calypso. And let's say this is the index finger. Let's make a chain for each of the fingers. So these three, well, yeah, for each of the fingers, yes. Retarget chain, index is fine, thumb, that's fine, middle, it's okay, ring, there we go, so pinky, and sure, we just made a whole hand, we need the other hand, but also if you realize, well, maybe your model has these two, maybe it has difference, if it has different bones, you need to check it, but this lower arm twist, we don't need it. So again, chain, because I'm pretty sure that Aurora also has it, right? Lower arm twist 01, and she has, let's see, upper arm, lower arm twist 01 are, yep, same thing. So just keep in mind, also make a chain of these two. Now, same thing, index, chain, thumb, also chain, middle, chain, ring, pinky, and same, lower arm twist, retarget, and new retarget chain. There we go. For the thigh, I don't think we need it, but if we see some weird movement on our legs, we'll do it. So I think we're all done with Calypso. Let's do the same with Aurora. So back from top. We need, well, Calypso doesn't have a metacarpal, so we're not gonna use it. Just gonna group these three index again. There we go. Ignore the metacarpal. There we go. Thumb doesn't have one, that's fine. Alright, so lower arm, she does have it. Upper arm, chain. The twist 02, she does not have it, so it's fine to leave it like that. Now, again, we're almost done with this. In the middle. There we go, on the pinky. There we go, ring, thumb, and the twist, lower arm twist. Yes, upper arm twist. And that's it. That should be it. Now let's check how the fingers are doing. If nothing appears, you need to put auto map chains. There we go. Okay, now she's kinda wanting to hold a weapon that she doesn't have. This one is almost closed. Okay, this one is closed. Now, if you see that there are some differences, what you can do is also this. So go here on edit pose, and we need to put the target actor offset on 0. So they are here together. And now we can see that there are differences, right? Calypso has her arms more open. Her legs are basically fine, but her arms are more open. So it is good for us to make them be closer to Aurora. So let's just click on this triangle here. Let's move it 10 degrees. Yeah, they're basically almost there. Here maybe 5, sure. Same for this one. So 1, 2, and in here only 1. So now she's way closer to her. We can click here on click on edit pose to finish it. And now they should be way more similar. So offset 100 again. Now you can see it way better, right? And it's all because her skeletal mesh is like on a similar pose as Aurora. Okay, well, we don't have any sword there, so whatever. All right. Now we need to also put Aurora. Well, she has the dissolvers here. Okay. Now I guess it's time to talk about dissolvers. So these solvers are like behaviors that you can add to your IK rig, right? The IK rig just supports a variety of solvers. You have plenty, and some of them can affect some bones, some others can affect other bones, right? You can play around a lot with that. And again, you can have plenty, and the order in which you put them matters. If you, for example, put a transform here, you now see it has a 2, right? So it first goes through this one and then goes to the another. Okay? And we, for our characters, just need a full body IK. This is fine. But if we want to add more complex things, we can put more of this, right? For example, this body mover is really useful to translate and rotate the root bone based on the location of other IK goals, which are typically fit, right? This limb IK is used to make long limbs like the arm, the full body IK, which is what we are using. It's basically you can just put plenty of these goals and you can modify different stats, like bone limits or the stiffness or I don't know, angles that you want. That one is really useful. Then, well, we have the pole solver, which is to solve some issues with the elbow or with the knees. And at last we have set transform, which just rotates a bone to match it with one of your goals. For now, we just want this full body IK. Maybe we use a set transform, but we'll see how good it looks at the end. For now, this full body IK is perfect. So now what we want to do is, since we are checking this animation and we see that she has a couple of errors, right, on her arm, this is not looking good. So we're gonna do a couple of things. First, let's take this hand goal, maybe the other one, yeah, this one, and we want to pull this arm up. We can see that the gizmo is just following along on the bone orientation, so let's just rotate it like this. And if you don't know how I did that, I just click on the goal and I press W, E, or R, and you can modify the gizmo that way. And now that the gizmo is straight, I just want to pull this up. You can see how the shoulder is getting eaten up, right? Or well, the body. It's not looking really well here. So we want to do two things. We want to modify, or well, add a different attribute to our, I think it's either the upper arm or the clavicle, or we also want to modify the way that the lower arm is being transformed. So first, let's just try with, well, let's select this full body IK and let's go on the clavicle and see if this is the culprit. So right click and settings, press on add settings to the selected bone. You remember that this full body IK also supported settings for every bone that it's affecting, right? So, okay, here we have this. And we have here the rotation stiffness and the position stiffness. So if we move this, we can see how it stops being eaten up, right? Because our IK is not being allowed to modify this bone, right? Now we can see, okay, it's not letting our bone to be modified. Sure, fine. Now let's put it up a little bit more. You can see that this is not moving on a normal way. Now we click on settings for the hand L goal, and we do not want this pull chain alpha to be at 1. We do not want this goal to pull from the body so much, so just put it at 0. And once we do that, we see that there is an issue here, right? You will think that maybe it is because our clavicle settings are too strong, but we need to go here on the lower arm, right click, add settings, and remember that you need to have the full body IK selected, otherwise you cannot put settings. And in here, we just need to scroll down, and if your animation is from Unreal Marketplace, you need to here, just prefer angles, and just put 90 here. If it is from Blender, I think it was here, I'm not sure, but ours is good like this. Okay, so we of course need to continue modifying some stuff, but for now this is fine. The hand goal is okay, the lower arm, although is it here? I cannot recall from which one this was, but we'll see. If the animation does not fit, we need to modify it. Okay, for now this is good. But we need to also put all of these settings on the other hand. That, and if you modify, if you move this, you can see that it affects the torso too much even. Okay, and that is because we also need some settings for the spine. Spine 1 to spine 3, right click, add settings, and each one of these needs to be really stiff. No rotation. No rotation for any of them. Now if we move the hand goal, sorry, there you can see it does not modify it at all, and that is really good. Okay, now let's do the same thing for the other arm. So the clavicle needs to have settings, and this needs to be no rotation. Okay, that's looking good. No rotation for that. The lower arm needs to have settings as well, and we ended up putting 90 on X. So in here, use prefer angles, 90 on X too. Fine. Now the hand goal settings. Remember, no pull chain. Fine. Now I think we should not add any for the feet. We are not having trouble with that. This is fine. Let's save it. And let's reset the pose. Okay. Let's do the same for Aurora though. So all of her chains, settings, rotation stiffness, stiffness, fine. Now our clavicle, settings 2, no rotation. Our lower arm, add settings, and this is here, 90, fine. And on the solver for the settings on the hand, no pull. Just make sure that they both have all of those settings. So clavicle no, and lower arm, settings, fine. Here, no pull, fine. And that's it for her, right? Yeah, I think this is good. Although I don't think that we put some IK goals on Aurora. Although I don't think this is needed, but it just gives me peace of mind, I guess. So this, and this. Okay. So now let's head to the Retargeter and see how this is looking. Maybe this one? Yeah. So when she extends her limbs, okay, I mean, this is looking fine. Her back is not having that issue anymore. And let's check her walking, maybe. Jog forward, there we go. Okay. I think this is looking fine. Oh, her arms are not relaxed at all. So let's see if we can check that or solve it through this modifier. If you go here on chain mapping, click on any of the chains. Rotation alpha, maybe we just relax it a little bit like that. Maybe a little bit like this better. And the other clavicle also maybe relax it a little bit. Okay, I think that's looking fine. What about some more animation like jog left? Okay. What about jump land? Well, I don't think we can do much with that. But yeah, I think this is it. So yeah. Okay, so the next step and the last step for this is just to click on export selected animations. You click on that, we just pick a folder, and okay, why do we only have one? Hold on. What about like this? Export selected animations. Well, just select whatever you want. You pick the folder, and it just creates the animations for you. And now your hero has everything. And if you wonder why she has a sword now, that's some other thing I was doing that has nothing to do with the retarget. But hold on. So yeah, that's how you import your animations, or well, retarget your animations. Okay, I hope this was useful for you. And well, overall, this where is it? This full body key is the way to go, right? But if you want some more complex configurations, you should definitely just do it with limbs, and little by little, like one limb for each arm, each leg, then a transform at the beginning, and so on. You can experiment with all of these now that you know a little bit more how they work, right? So, well, I hope that you had a good time. I'll see you in the next tutorial.